Hi.
You're live.
Okay. That's one thing about doing these things live. There probably will be a few hiccups. Hi, everyone. It's Steve Field from the Prime Safety Department. I'm currently in the basement of the Z building. This is live, so we don't have the opportunity to ask Andrea to stop it and back up so we can clean up something that we messed up on, but I think that's kind of neat. First thing I do want to touch on just briefly is from the Driver Advisory Board this week. It was loud and clear. The message was that all our drivers missed the Friday morning meeting. And trust me, we miss it too. This is not a permanent substitute for those Friday morning meetings. We are super proud of those meetings. We think it's a unique in the industry to have such an informal yet beneficial meeting like that, to have Robert at it, to have Steve at it, to have all our operational folks at it in an informal setting like that where we can exchange ideas, share information with you, and we are going to get back to that. If you look at the calendar, we've been dealing with COVID now for almost exactly a year. No one thought last March when we started to make changes and held off on having big functions, the safety meetings, that a year later we would still be doing this. But honestly, we're getting close to a resolution on this. I'm confident of that. Some folks have been vaccinated. The information we're getting through Dr. Abraham is that the next group to be vaccinated will include people in transportation. And when I say people in transportation, that means you are operators out there. That's the most important thing. But it also means our in-house associates. Because another point from the Driver Advisory Board is maybe we've lost half a step or so by not having all our associates in the office. We realize that. We're not able to look all the time face to face, have a sit down conversation. Maybe we're not quite as focused as we are when we're in the office. So that's a key part of returning when COVID wraps up, is that we get back in the office. So hopefully this next round of vaccinations will be coming maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Don't have a specific date. They have to start that phase. Then Dr. Abraham has to acquire the vaccines, but we are all in on getting folks that want to be vaccinated, which will hopefully make it safer for you out on the road and make it much easier for a lot of our in-house associates to return to work. So those are my two promises to you. We are going to return to the safety meetings, our dinners, our picnics, the truck driving championship, and we are going to return people to the office. We just have to do it when the time is right. We've come too far now to make this last step prematurely and slide backwards. We've just come too far. So that's my commitment to you. A couple things I want to mention. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to the folks in Salt Lake City. If you saw last week's video, it was done from Salt Lake City. It was hosted by Brian Singleton out there. We got to see a lot of the people, got to see the new facility out there. So I think that's fantastic. We really need to keep these meetings interesting, informative. So that was kind of neat. And we were talking today, we're hoping next week to actually do something a little different. Myself and Mitch will be back here. We may have a speaker or two, but we're going to have Andrea and Brett down in Savannah at Savannah Clean. So you can see that, see the people down there, and we can take questions on that facility too. So that's what we're hoping probably for next Tuesday. We're going to try to get back to our normal time of Tuesday at 9:30, but our goal next week is to kind of split it between Springfield and Savannah. And we're going to take advantage of opportunities to get out there and do these videos from different locations. One of the things we're doing today is Robert's going to be here and he's going to be answering questions that you have. We received a lot of them already through Facebook, but while you're sitting there or listening to this, if you think of a question that you want to ask Robert Lowe, go ahead and send that in and Andrea will get those questions. So that's one of the things we're going to do today. Another thing, we've got Success Leasing here. We've got Drew and Kylah, and what we want them to talk about and what I expect them to talk about is that Prime offers a unique opportunity. You can start as a DC, come here with no experience, get your CDL, progress through the training program, become a company driver or a lease driver. Then you can work towards an ACE lease, maybe work towards owning that truck or buy a truck outright. There's so many opportunities between Success Leasing and Pedigree that we want to get some of that information out in front of you. And we have several people that have more than one truck. And that's the way a company starts. And I'll tell you something, if you don't know this, today was actually yesterday, but today would be Prime has been in business for 50 years and 1 day. Yesterday was Prime's 50th anniversary. You've probably heard, particularly you folks that have been around a while, you've heard Robert's story about the company. 51st. I'm sorry. Got corrected. 51st year. Last year was our 50th. So 51st year. So it's now 51 years and 1 day. But if you've heard Robert's story, it's an amazing story of starting with a couple of dump trucks and building a successful business. And he'll tell you himself, maybe expanding a little too quickly, too much credit, and then basically crashing, having to declare bankruptcy and start building it back up again to where we are today. It's a unique story, but it started with a couple of trucks. So we do want to get that information out there. If you're familiar with Wilson Logistics, what Daryl and his family have done over there, if I recall right, they started by leasing about 12 trucks onto Prime, probably about 30 years ago. And now Daryl is at 500 trucks. He's got different enterprises going on. So there's a good opportunity here at Prime. So we're looking forward to Drew and Kylah talking about that. We're also going to have Justin Kaufman. He's got a little information he wants to get out. And then we're going to get to Robert taking your questions today. So I hope you enjoy the information we have for you today. We want your comments. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what topics you want to talk about. We really do need to keep this informative for you. So I'm just going to check my notes real quick, make sure that I didn't forget anything. And I did forget something. Keep seeing Andrea over here and she's signaling me. We made a big change this week and a lot of folks go, well, why did safety do that? So let me give you a little background. For a long time, years and years and years, our minimum requirement for upgrading was 30,000 miles. And then last year, we changed it to 50,000 miles. And here this week, we've reset it back to 30,000 miles. So let me tell you just a couple of things about that. Number one is 30,000 miles is probably the industry standard. I don't know of any other companies that keeps drivers teamed up for that long to get the amount of experience that you get here at Prime, to hopefully get different driving conditions and different weather, see different customers and different things going on. So that 30,000 miles was significant. Well, if it wasn't for safety, why did we change it to 50? And basically the answer is supply and demand and the ability to keep everyone profitable. We realized very quickly last year that with COVID, the economy slowing down, it doesn't do any good to have trucks if we don't have freight. So we did make the decision to basically slow down the upgrade process a little bit. And I think it worked. It kept all our operators whole. But the time is right now to put it back to where we think is the sweet spot at 30,000 miles. So work with your fleet manager when it's time to upgrade. And remember, that's the minimum. A lot of departments will look at your record and 30,000 miles. You don't walk in and get a set of keys. You're going to have your record reviewed. We're going to take a look at critical events, any accidents, anything that's gone on with your record, because we only want to upgrade you when we are pretty certain that you're going to succeed out there. That first time you go out there as a solo operator, believe me, your hands are going to be sweating. You're not going to have your trainer with you. You're going to be on your own, but you're going to do okay. We're going to give you that training to make sure you're a success. So that's our big announcement this week, that we're moving back from 50 to 30,000 miles is the minimum to upgrade. So that's my information for today. I think I've got a question.
We have Salt Lake City tuning in. So if you want to give a shout out to them, and we have our PSDs in Springfield as well.
Super. So we've got Salt Lake City. And if you missed it, just a big thanks to our folks in Salt Lake City for hosting the meeting last week. Brian Singleton has gone on record that he will host the meeting again in the future. So we're going to hold Brian to that. And to our PSDs, I'm glad you're watching this. You're going to get some information, but it doesn't replace what Prime is about. And that's face-to-face contact, whether it's in the Friday morning meetings, whether it's at one of our many dinners, our picnics. So for our PSDs, this is a start, but there's a lot more coming for you as you learn about the Prime culture. And we're glad you're here, and we appreciate you trusting Prime with your future. We're not going to let you down. So I'm going to ask Justin Kaufman to come up. Justin wears a lot of hats, but one of the big ones is he oversees our call center, which is basically road assist and the calls to keep you moving out on the road. So if you'll come on up, Justin.
Thank you very much, Steve. And, you know, as mentioned about us having driver advisory board in this week, and, you know, we we got a lot of great feedback from many of our driver advisory board members, just different suggestions, different topics. But, one of them had just brought up that, hey, they really miss these Friday meetings and they really miss the information coming from Road Assist and the inspection information that they had got out of some of the meetings. And so I was just going to go over a few of the items and show some photos this time of different things that should be checked on, pre-trip, en route, post-trip inspections, and actually give you some photos of what to look for. So I'm going to get started here, starting off with a steer tire. The DOT requires 4/32 of tread in every major tread groove of a steer tire and 2/32 of tread in every major tread groove of a drive tire. How do you classify a major tread groove? It's got a wear bar in it. And if you've got a tread depth gauge, then you can easily keep track of your tire tread depths and make sure that, that you're legal, and also keep track and so that when you need to head to a terminal to get your tires changed out. So that's kind of another thing. And so, but just make sure that there's no cuts to steel, make sure that you have adequate tread depth. And number 3 here is axle flange axle gasket. Just make sure that as you're going around your truck that you don't have any oil leaks coming from your axle flange gasket, that there's no oil on your wheels. If there is, and even with the tires, it's a perfect opportunity to take a photo of that. You can send it in on the Prime mobile app to your Road Assist advisor, and we'll be more than happy to be able to tell you, look, that's good, that's not, we need to, get a shop out to you or have you go to a shop. So we'll be happy to work through those scenarios with you. Number 4 is a wheel seal, and just making sure that as you're doing your pre-trip, en route, and post-trip inspections, that you're looking to make sure that there's no oil on the inside of the wheel or around the wheel seal. So, that's just kind of another item to make sure. And if there is something that you notice, once again, reach out to your Road Assist advisor. And number 5 is just the structure of the trailer. And this photo here is a photo of a broken bottom rail. This is something that we wouldn't want to roll on, and so this is something, if you identify it, if it's something that may have been hit, causing the damage, that we want to get with Road Assist immediately, because what can happen is if you roll on a broken bottom rail or major frame rail, then the chances are really good that we could break the trailer into or cause, major damage, to the load and everything else. So, and for your safety, so once again, if you find a broken frame rail on a trailer, we want to report that immediately. Do not roll, and get with Road Assist, and we'll get a game plan for, what the next step is. But at any rate, I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to this, and there will be a lot more coming.
We got one question, Justin. Can you kind of talk about hold time now, where we are now, where were we, what our goal is?
Exactly. Pre polar vortex or the cold weather that we experienced several weeks ago, we were, hovering a little above a minute, but we really cracked down, and we brought in some extra folks to help lower that answer time well below a minute now. And so we're continuing to focus on our answer times, our response times, and, definitely getting better. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Kylah, Leasing, and Drew Martin from Leasing as well.
Hey guys, I'm Kylah from Leasing, and this is Drew. We were just wanting to go over a couple things, really focus on how leasing can help you, what your progression is through Prime, and how we're here to assist. So like Steve mentioned, you can start out all the way with having no trucking experience. We have a great school that can help you through that process with starting a new career. You go all the way through the training process, and then once you're ready and you've upgraded, then at that point, you're going to come in and see Success Leasing. We're going to help you with one of 2 options starting out. You're either going to start out as a company driver, which is about 20% of our fleet, still very vital to the operation. or you're going to be a lease operator. So of course, that's going to be a little bit bigger of a risk, but with greater risk comes greater reward. Through the leasing program, we'll help you go through and pick out your truck. We're either going to have a pre-leased unit or a new truck available for you to lease out. We do lease out trucks at all 3 of our terminals, so Springfield, Pittston, or Salt Lake City. We have leasing associates at all 3 that will help you. Our main terminal and most of our calls do come through Springfield. We also wanted to go over a couple of the delays that are happening right now. As you guys all braved this winter storm that happened a couple weeks ago, that unfortunately affected some of our new truck deliveries. We're running at about a week to 2 week delay on new trucks coming in. We are making sure that any of those that have ordered trucks, that we are reaching out, contacting you prior to you coming to the yard, so we can be sure to communicate what delays you might expect and try to work with you through those. A couple other things that I wanted to go over were your leasing benefits. So whenever you go through the leasing program, it's a great program that we have set up. You're going to have several tools at your advantage. You'll have your forgiven lease payments that you earn after 2 years of leasing. You have a program called Retention and Rewards that is set up very similar to a retirement plan. And then, of course, just the staff that we have here to help you succeed. We want to make sure that we're putting you in a good position to help run your business.
Yeah, and like Kylah mentioned, the road assist department. A lot of people don't realize that the road assist department there is a benefit, and that's a help to all the associates out there. Whether you're a PSD or you have multiple trucks, the road assist department is a great benefit for everybody. So we encourage you, if this is your first truck, to introduce yourself to your road assist person. With it, it'll really help you out on there too. And we really appreciate it from Success Leasing kind of getting this time. We really got we got from the driver advisory board meeting that communication from the in-house to the driving associates is just not where it needs to be. So we're happy to be here 2 days after it to kind of get some of this information out to you guys to really help with your business or starting your business or becoming a company driver. So Kylah started with the company and then the lease. And so really we're talking about the next phase of where you would go after you would be a lease operator. So if you wanted to own multiple trucks or if you just want to own your truck, we have a lease purchase program out there. It's either 3 years or 4 years on a new truck and 2 years on a used truck out there too. So the program's out there. The thing is it's more of a financing deal. So the securities that Kylah was talking about, the forgiven lease payment, the different things like that, they kind of go away with the lease purchase. It's kind of a progression to ownership. Another thing we like to mention too is you can't lease and lease purchase at the same time. The lease program is built for a one truck type fleet, while the lease purchase program could be a one truck fleet, but it also could be that multiple truck fleet too on there too. So I always like to mention that, with it too. And so a couple other things, the down payment on it, like Robert says, with the lease purchase program, you got to have skin in the game. So we start at $14,000 down. We do give benefits for a reduction in the down payment based on your years of service. So it's $1,000 down to $8,000. I will say this, that isn't a discount off the price of the truck, just a discount on the down payment. So if you're looking at it saying, hey, 1 more year and I can afford that, it might not be the program for you. Really, we want somebody with really good financial stability that gets into this program because like we talked about earlier with the leasing benefits, you don't have those financial securities that are really built in to this program like the lease program in the company. So that's kind of the progression that we see. We do have other options, that with the A-Truck program, it's not so much with the trucks because you can do lease purchases within the A-Truck program, but we don't pull credit or anything like that for that program. So that's all I got. Oh, I did have one question that it was a Volvo. One of the questions we had is what's the status of the Volvo? So we have 2 updates, the update on the Volvos and the update on the new Peterbilt 579. So whenever they released that truck, we hadn't had any association or talk about what's going on with pricing or different upgrades that are available for the 579. So we've started that. We do know that we'll switch at some point, but we don't know exactly when that will be. We're kind of projecting later this fall, but what we've started now is with Jennifer Sutton in the TWIC office, we've started a list. So when we do make our decision, we can contact those operators for their ability, to lease purchase or lease one of these new Peterbilt 579s. On the Volvos, right now the truck order is out toward the end of the year. We're also in the third year of operating these 25 or 26 Volvos that we have in the fleet. They're definitely going to be involved in our new truck deal, as in quoting us prices, with the truck. But we're really still working out a lot of issues, with them just to make them better. So when they do price a bigger package of trucks next year, they will be involved in that too. So it won't be any more for the rest of this year at this point, just because the build dates are out so far and we're trying to work on these Peterbilt 579s. But next year they will be involved. And so look forward to this summer, maybe early this fall, looking at what trucks we'll be purchasing on the next 3-year truck deal. But that's all I got. Do you got any questions?
Yes. We have a question here. Looking to Ace, a Peterbilt was told that they may discontinue the line. Any updates?
No, here's one thing. We hold all of our vendors to the highest standard possible. So if they start getting out of the ranges on certain things like downtime, repair cost, it hurts everybody. And so we really watch out for our operators on there too. No decision's been made on the Peterbilts in the future with it. As of now, we still have an order out there for Peterbilts and we're still ordering Peterbilts. But we do have some, thoughts with them that we've talked to them quite a bit about this, and that it does need to improve. And if it does get any worse, there could be a way of, kind of figuring the way out of the fleet for the new truck orders. But other than that, right now, we got Peterbilts.
Drew, could you give a little more information on someone that wants to have a second or a third truck, like where he gets that driver from, how are they dispatched, just how that works a little bit for someone maybe that has 3 trucks. He's operating one and he has 2 others.
So one thing I will say, the first thing I always tell every guy too, is I see more people fail going from 1 to 5 trucks because it's like a step up in ownership, because you not only have to manage your truck and you as the driver, but you have to manage other drivers on other trucks, with breakdowns, downtime, home time, different things like that. So, we do have a lot of drivers that train and then they find a good student or a good person that would be good for a second truck. And so then they save up their capital. But again, I always tell operators and drivers to have more drivers than you have trucks. Robert's always run pretty lean on his equipment. You need to run lean too as a fleet owner too. So what I'd say is when you have 2 trucks, have 3 drivers. So if one does quit or it kind of goes on home time, you have one to keep that truck running, because it's hard to make enough money on 1 truck to cover 2 truck payments.
I have another question from Tilio. He said he's currently on his first lease. The lease I have is only 1 year. Can my next lease be a lease purchase, or do I need to complete a 3-year lease to be eligible?
No, we don't really have any requirements. We're not, we don't have a bunch of policies and rules that say, hey, if you don't, you got to complete a lease before you do a lease purchase. You can come in and do a lease purchase off the bat. We do probably have a little bit more requirements, like, hey, we need the down payment up front before, we do anything. But, if he has a 1-year lease, I'd say, hey, he gets $1,000 off for that payment. So he gets $13,000 down on his next truck, and he can do that. One of the other questions we always get is a manual transmission. So, 3 or 4 years ago, we switched to automated transmissions, and I think it was one of the best fleet decisions, on equipment wise that we've done, just because the feedback's been pretty much almost 100% positive on there. So what we did is we kind of got stuck with a few of them. We used to require $2,000 down at the time of ordering, but then we got them. We didn't know what to do with it because nobody wanted that truck. So what we did as a financing company or as a leasing company, we actually said that, we'll do it and we're fine because we don't want to restrict that type of transaction. So we just said, we want it at the time of ordering and we want the full down payment. And if you decide not to pick it up, we can't refund that money. So it's just a little more of that skin in the game.
We have a few questions about internationals. Are there any updates or new models coming?
No, we've, we had a call with some of the head people at International about a month ago. They have some interesting things. I think a lot of companies out there, you saw the Peterbilt, the Kenworth has a new truck out. I know Freightliner's coming out with some updates later this year, but, International had some great updates, and I think they're heading the right direction. I don't know if you guys have met, but Chad Taylor is our international rep. And he is great resource for all you international drivers and operators out there too. He's on the ball. He knows where to take it. And that's his job. He just keeps the international trucks running on there too. So we don't really have any updates. We will get a few. We traded in a few end of last year. So we will get like 28 But again, with new truck builds right now, it's kind of hit or miss or exactly when we're going to get those 28, but they'll be 2022 model LTs.
To kind of touch on what he said about Chad, we had mentioned Road Assist, but another great tool for all of our operators are our on-site vendor reps. We are fortunate enough that we have vendor reps from Freightliner, Peterbilt, and International that are here to assist just with our trucks and operators. I think sometimes we forget to use them or to touch base with them, and they really are a great database of knowledge for us to be able to use. And we bounce ideas and problems off of them all the time to help get our operators back out on the road.
For sure. And we push our vendors. We want an on-site person. We don't want a call center person. We don't want anybody out there that doesn't see the culture out here and see like our need to keep our operators running. So we have a TK rep. His name is Philip. And so if you have any TK issues or repetitive issues on Thermo King APUs, he's out there for you. He can find a shop for you. He can monitor it, follow up with you. He's been a great resource. I've been sending quite a few guys to him. So that's another one that's pretty good.
And then Andy Bell is our carrier rep. So I think that covers all of them.
We're getting a lot of questions. Greg said, will the Epic package be available for the Pete?
That is an option on the new model. Again, like Drew said, we haven't finalized that package or deal yet. So if that's something that you're interested in, you would go on the list that Jennifer has for you to be contacted once we start placing those orders.
And I can even talk a little bit more too, just because it's nice to get this communication out there because we can tell you why decisions are made or why they aren't. So originally on the Peterbilt, the Epic package that was on there, one of the reasons I really talked to people before they ordered it. We did allow it for some of the lease purchases as long as they knew what they were getting into, but it was like over $3,000 for this. And all they could say was it saved you 1% to 2% fuel. If you do that math over 3-4 years, it doesn't pay back. So what we look at is we want to see a $6,000 payback or an $8,000 payout if you're going to pay $3. So we just advise them. I think on the new model that it'll be a lot better of a price, and we can even piecemeal it on certain pieces on there too. That can be a lot better for your operating cost.
Are we ever going to get Kenworths again?
We talk to OEMs, probably once a month, all of them, and we hold them to the highest standard possible. I mean, if you guys knew what went into these negotiations and talks with them too, they hear all these issues about these trucks being down for weeks and months and different things. It's definitely a possibility. I'll say that for sure. We've been talking to them lately. We've been talking to Peterbilt lately. We've been talking to Volvo. We've been talking to them all. I just know next year, right now, we don't have any trucks committed to order. So really, we're pushing them for performance to show us for next year.
Will you help assist me in getting an LLC?
So our office does not handle that, but again, we have another great tool here on site. Abacus CPA is here at the terminal, and they're able to assist at all 3 locations, or even if you're out over the road. We primarily communicate with them on setting up LLCs. We always recommend that you set up an LLC as an independent contractor. That is your choice, but they can give you all of the details of how that affects you, what the cost is. And then if you do use Abacus, they also can help with tax services, and then they send us your information directly. So that's very easy and convenient. You don't have to worry about bringing us paperwork back down before your contract. We get all of that information from them.
How long is the truck wait, and specifically for flatbed?
Just the truck wait right now. Actually, we have we have about 10 new trucks we're setting up right now. We probably have 5 or 6. It actually is a little bit of a wait right now. I will preface this whole conversation. We're talking about the 30,000 miles to 50,000 miles. That hurts us a little bit from a truck management perspective, because if you look at 30,000 to 50,000 mile drivers, there's probably 200 in there that we probably just need to space out just a little bit, just because we want the experience to be as best as possible with it. But we've already notified the shops and said, hey, we're going to see a big influx of new operators. So we want to get the customer service and get the trucks ready as best we can.
And on that note, we've also talked with operations just to let them know that while we are super excited for you guys to be able to come in and upgrade, we want to get you seated in your trucks. We don't want an influx and then just have you guys sitting here waiting at the terminal. That's not productive for you guys or for the company. So I think that they have stopped upgrades for this week and next week, and then we'll start back in 2 weeks, just to make sure that, like Drew said, your experience is the best possible and that you're not waiting for an extended period of time. Also on that note, due to COVID, with new truck orders, we are now also taking appointments. That's something I forgot to mention earlier. So we are setting appointment times to kind of make sure that experience of you coming in and picking up your order truck is personalized. We want to let you guys know how much you are appreciated, and make sure that we're not rushing you through the process, that if you have questions, that time is dedicated for you. So if you've ordered a truck in the past and you've got another one coming in, that is something new to expect, is appointment times for your truck pickup.
Mr. F, said, if I have a current Peterbilt and lease ends next week, but warranty finishes next week as well, how can I buy it and have the warranty as well?
You'd have to buy it with outside financing, I'm guessing, because, with our lease purchase program, the truck has to qualify on a used lease purchase. So it's got to be around 3 years old, less than 450,000 miles on it too. But you could always buy it with outside financing, with it. But again, we just don't think that's the best position to be buying a truck and investing $60,000 to $70,000 in a truck that has no warranty on it or an aftermarket type warranty. So we don't advise it. So we don't do any financing for it. So it'd be outside financing.
If you're interested in purchasing a truck, if that's what your next step is, and you're in a financial position, we have Pedigree truck and trailer sales. Our inventory is a little bit tight right now as kind of everything in the market, but they'd be happy to help get you set up with something that you'd be interested in and that would meet your needs and maybe put you in a better financial position where your truck would be in warranty.
Okay, one last question. The lease dinners, are those back up and running? How do they schedule one?
Yeah, so our end of lease dinners, we missed having those for the last year, and we have started those in the last couple months. For an end of lease dinner, that would be a driver who's been on the truck for the full 3 years. And then we schedule that for you. We are scheduling in advance. We used to be able to do it really same day if you came in, and we're asking that you give us a heads up. We're limiting that number as well. We used to have dinners that would range anywhere from 6 to 12 people, and we're really keeping that number under 6 and doing 1 driver per dinner is our COVID protocol right now.
And it's been great to get back to them.
Yeah.
I did one on Tuesday and the previous Tuesday. We've always liked the smaller dinners too anyway, just because it feels like when you get the bigger dinners, you can't really have the conversations like you used to. So it's been nice. It's not as many people in the restaurant, and you can hear the conversations and have a really good time and a really good dinner.
Yep. So if you have qualified, or even if you ended your lease sometime last year and you didn't get to have a dinner due to COVID, be sure to give me a call and we can get that scheduled for you.
As far as other truck models that we don't currently have, like Western Stars, what's the deal on that?
So I'll be honest, we haven't had conversations with Western Star or Mac. So it's been years, it's been 20 plus years when we had Macs in the fleet. So I wouldn't hold your hopes for those, at all. We haven't had any conversations with them. So it'd be a long-term horizon project if it was going to.
And then last question is about truck wraps. Who do they go to for graphics?
So we use Stripes and Stuff. They're a local company, and they have been doing our graphics for 30 plus years, I would say. They are great to work with. They work with us very well. They know what all of our trucks are spec'd at. They are great at communication with contacting our drivers. They'll contact you before your order truck comes in, or we ask that you reach out to them to pick out your graphics if you want to do something special. Or if you have a truck existing that you maybe got as an open truck, you can always reach out to them and they will get that set up. They also ship out to PA and Salt Lake City. We have body shops at those locations, so don't think you have to come here to Springfield. You can contact them over at Stripes and Stuff, and they can work with you to get those set up.
Okay, that's a good amount. We'll have you back on in the future. It's clearly a lot of interest.
We appreciate your time like a ton, just because, again, with COVID, we haven't got as involved, but we really want to get more communication out to the leasing department. So if you guys have any questions, ask, through these Facebook events, or, contact us. And, we get a lot of these questions and we get a lot of these ideas about what to bring up, with just calls, with you guys calling and asking. So we really appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all that you're doing. We'll pass it back over to Steve.
Well, Andrea is definitely right. We're going to get Success Leasing back sooner rather than later. And I think that tells us a lot. Some of those questions that, it's the real entrepreneurial spirit of our operators out there. How can I do this? How can I do this? And those were some fantastic questions. So I will make a commitment right now. We will have leasing back within the next 3 weeks to take more questions. As promised, we've got Robert Lowe, our president and founder here. I will say the questions we got ahead of time, those might have been softballs. So if you've got some tougher questions, send them to Andrea here. And Robert, the floor's all yours, sir.
Man, Steve, I don't know whether I should thank you for that or not. Hey, everybody. Good to be here. Good to talk to you. I think there are going to be some questions, and I'm ready to start in with those when they're ready. Things have been pretty good since we got out of the polar vortex. Freight is picking up. We're making some progress in different areas that are really crucial to our operation, making some good progress on rate increases. That's always welcome news, right? We love rate increases, and they're kicking in, and they're very powerful. So with that good news, I'll see if there's anything out there that I can answer.
Well, let's go with the first question, Robert. And I know it's a big topic, and you talk about it a lot, and you have thoughts on tolls and how we pass those along to the customers and what our choice is. Tolls are obviously going up. So can we get your thoughts on tolls and how we can keep our operators whole?
Well, when we're bidding business, we identify where tolls are, more than likely going to be necessary. And, our deal is, someone's mentioned skin in the game. It's a big part of our business model. We split the tolls with our independent contractors, just like we divide the revenue, 72-28. The operator pays 72% of the toll, Prime pays 28%. Of course, you've always got the option of, if the tolls you think are making that load unprofitable, you have the right to turn that load down. Company drivers, of course, don't pay any portion of the tolls. That's the company's expense in that case.
Specific question about flatbed, and I think flatbed may be a little bit more cyclic, but the question, and it's a good one, future plans for growth in the flatbed division.
Well, we look out there at the landscape of flatbed carriers, and we think that we have a very competitive offering. We have excellent service. We have the infrastructure that we share with, a very powerful, reefer division. So there's some synergies or some economies there that we have above our competitors. So we would like to grow our flatbed division, and we're making some progress on that. It's been tough through COVID. Flatbed was hit harder really than the reefer side as far as growth and expansion. That's started to turn the corner, and we're looking to grow flatbed. Jim Wilkins and his team are making some new initiatives. We think, the changes we've made to the training regiment, maybe create some more teams, and then eventually get some more lead drivers out there to be ready to step into trucks a little bit sooner is going to help. The customer base is certainly there, giving us a lot of support, on rates and rules and that kind of thing. So we're very optimistic for flatbed growth.
Robert, we've got literally now a year's worth of drivers that probably haven't been able to hear you speak in person in the Friday morning meetings or at the holiday party. And one driver had a question have you ever driven a truck? And could you give just a little bit of information about, really how you started? We talked about that earlier in the meeting, 51 years and a day now, and you started, a few setbacks, but obviously the answer to the question is yes, you have driven a truck. And could you expound on that a little bit?
I started out driving. I started out, a summertime job with a dump truck. I went back to school in the fall, put a driver on the dump truck. That wasn't working out so good. So, I kind of been around trucking as I grew up. My dad was a market news reporter, and so he was talking to the beef packers and, all the protein shippers, and he was reporting on those livestock markets. So, a big part of that is the transportation and the trucking too. So I somehow got in my head that, man, this trucking deal is really the way to go. You don't necessarily want to be a farmer, rancher, but man, if you can get in the transportation business, that's a gold mine. Well, obviously that wasn't quite the truth, but my youthful, perception, it looked good. So I traded the dump truck for an over-the-road truck, kind of went from there, like Steve said, some bumps in the road, eventually got on the truck, kind of taught myself to drive, and eventually worked up to, 3 trucks and then 7 trucks, and went from there. So probably the time we got to 7 trucks, probably 2.5 years that I was out there on the road, learned a lot, had a lot of fun, learned a lot about trucking, had some breakdowns, had some near misses, got going down some hills too fast. I could smell those brakes, kind of scary. But done all those things, had all those experiences. And I think the thing that maybe is different from some trucking company owners or executives, although many owners did drive trucks, is that, I have that appreciation. I've been out there. I know the loneliness. I know missing home, missing your family. I had 2 small kids and a wife, and I miss seeing them, and I miss, getting home. And I was pissed off when my driver or my dispatcher couldn't get me a load that was going by home, or, I wanted to go to California and he sent me to the East Coast and all that kind of thing. So, I've got all that, experience that's very real to drivers, and they can relate to what I'm talking about, that I think really, really helps me.
Got 2 what I'll call softballs, and I think Andrea's got the tough ones, Robert. 2 different drivers asked why the name Prime and why so much purple.
Okay, Prime, I'll start with that. I was looking around for a name. I just explained kind of my background in the protein business, the dinner table talk, the friends of my dad that were, in that business. And, Prime is the highest grade of meat. And it was kind of a contemporary sounding name. And I mean, who would want to name their company Rob Low Trucking? I mean, that just low just doesn't fetch it. We want to be high, so, what could I do besides low? Prime. Came up with Prime. And I got to say, I kind of looked into the name, but I think it's catchy. I think it's contemporary and says a lot about who we are. We're Prime.
And purple?
Purple. The purple is very prevalent now. Maybe it always hasn't been so much, but, say in the early 90s, we formed a company, acquired a casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. And if you're acquainted with the Gulf Coast, kind of the prevalent color, the Mardi Gras kind of colors. And, just thinking about different colors that I liked and I felt were attractive, was the purple. That was part of it. The purple, see the purple and green put together. And, about that time, we thought we were ready. I bought a racehorse. And so we needed some silks, right? So our silks are purple with some green accents. And so I still love it. I think it's an enduring color. It has some meaning behind it, and it's worked for us. So that's where the purple came.
Okay, we have some questions. What are the plans for new terminals?
Okay, we have a manager here, Corey Dole, that's looking at different points, different locations where we have a lot of traffic, and where we have an opportunity to recruit drivers, hire technicians, repair trucks, a lot of intersects. So we're continually looking at those locations. We recently started building, we're breaking ground anyway, on a new tank wash in Manuka, Illinois. And attendant to that tank wash is going to be a 6-bay shop. So it's not going to be a huge offering. And some of our ideas about these locations, they may not be huge, but they're going to be very, very useful to our operation, very, very strategic. And we're looking at that. But we're open to building large, like Springfield, like Salt Lake City, like Pittston, facilities with all the amenities. Yeah, basketball court, doctor's office, spa, all that kind of stuff. We think that providing those kind of amenities to drivers is no more than right. A lot of companies, everybody loves drivers right now because there's so few of them out there. But how do you show it? And I think one way to show it is providing, those basic features of life that, the rest of us get to enjoy. So we're looking, probably a likely location might be the Atlanta area, because we have so many folks that reside down there. We have so many intersects, in and around that area. So if and when we do that, it'll probably be a really nice location.
And this kind of goes with that one. Peter Lyon said, any plans to combine or update the Florida yard?
We get that a lot. And the problem there is, the right piece of real estate in the right location. We've just made some minor upgrades to where we are. Know it's kind of a mess. Bear with us. We kind of take these things in stride. It's a pretty big capital expense, and we will continue to evaluate that and make upgrades as we can.
Nathan Anthony says, I'm passionate and determined to become a fleet owner and working in-house with Prime. What advice can you give to him to set goals and how to achieve them?
It's mostly about hard work. It's about, Prime's thing of doing the right thing, doing what's right, treating others the way you'd like to be treated, working hard, working smart. You do that and you can be successful. There's, as tough as this business is, it's not a gimme. You gotta play. It's kind of a 7/24 thing. So you need to understand the business, understand especially the value of drivers. I mean, the key for any small fleet is having good quality, safe drivers. So you want to build those along as you go and be prepared for all the work and the kind of the ups and downs that go with it, and make sure that you're emotionally set up for that you're wired that way, and get ready to work hard, hopefully have some fun along the way.
Robert Kaufman asked if we're going to get more trailer parking in Springfield. And we also had a question about parking in Pittston.
Parking. So, why do I want to park something? It's not generating any revenue when it's parked, right? And you'd be amazed at how much a single parking spot costs to construct. We know we need parking, but we also need to look at how we organize things, how many trailers we have. I mean, if sometimes they need to be at different locations, and sometimes maybe there are some trailers that we should move along, when we're gathering these trailers and parking them, staging them, for people to buy. Maybe we should reduce the price a little bit and move them on out of here rather than take up valuable parking spots. But let me promise you this, we're going to have parking here. We may be a little disorganized from time to time. COVID has provided some challenges in that respect, but we'll have parking for you, I promise you.
Do we have any plans for Laredo?
We're looking at Laredo. Our current landlord down there just is changed hands, and we're negotiating a new location as we speak. And, I think that you can look forward to some changes for the better, for much better in the near future in Laredo.
Morgan said Robert should open a museum in Urbana.
Urbana, Missouri, that refers to the town that where I grew up, where I'm from, small town. Some of you may know it, 50 miles up the road here, population 249. Really big place, right? What a great place to start a truck line. But that's where I'm from. That's what that question's about. But I'm afraid the museum wouldn't be all that interesting. So we'll pass on that for now. But I appreciate the thought.
We also have a question. Will Prime ever start a heavy haul division?
That's a tough, we're open to any kind of business opportunity where we can make a profit, have some fun, where our drivers can make some money. We've looked at heavy haul operations. It's a different kind of game than we're accustomed to, but we'll continue to look at it. And if the right opportunity comes along, sure. I'm not promising we're going to go out and start a heavy haul division tomorrow, but we'll continue to look for opportunities there.
Robert Dreyer said, what about getting in-house back in to provide better support? What's your plan?
We plan to do that. I appreciate that question because, we are on the backside. I'm convinced we're on the backside of this pandemic. And, more people are becoming vaccinated and, the appropriate time has elapsed. So, they're pretty safe. We follow the protocols. We do the masking. It's not going to be long until you see the in-house staff start to come back in. Having said that, a lot of our folks, I think, have enjoyed the flexibility of working from home. And I think that, we've got to keep these young folks engaged and interested, and we need that brain power and that horsepower. We need to continue to build and up our management ranks. So, we're going to try to do things that appeal to them. And I think working from home has some appeal, or at least the flexibility. So I think maybe on the weekends, our folks can work from home on some kind of rotational basis, even during the week. And particularly with some job descriptions, they can work from home very, very effectively. But primarily, you can expect our staff to be back in the office with maybe a little bit more flexibility to work from home on some days.
All right. I think that's most of them. Some of them are repeat questions here. David did say, Mr. Lowe, I appreciate the business you have built and Prime giving me the opportunity it's given me so far. Thank you.
Well, David, you're very welcome. And I want to tell you that we love and appreciate our drivers. I hope that doesn't sound hokey to you, because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Respect and appreciation and a willingness to listen to our drivers, listen to what you want is here. And we insist on it. And I think by and large, we fulfill. We're not perfect. We make some mistakes, but we're always looking to improve and get better. This is one heck of a company because of your efforts. I don't deliver any loads on time. Steve Whitkey's a wonderful sales guy, but he don't pick them up or deliver them on time. You all do that, and you do it safely and very well and on time, and it's very much appreciated. So I thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you being with us today. For all our folks that were tuning in today, we thank you for tuning in. We have committed to being back with you on a regular basis. We're certainly going to get leasing back. That was a good segment. We'll get Robert back. We'll have Justin back. So don't forget, next week we're going to shoot for kind of splitting between Springfield and Savannah. We want you to be able to see Savannah clean. We're very proud of that. Andrea and Brett will be down there, so you'll get a look at that. And as folks go around the country to different terminals, we will be there to show you what's going on. So thanks for everything that you do. I know these have been challenging times. There's a lot of people in this country that are hurting right now, that maybe don't have the opportunity that we've had at Prime. This country will always need good, safe, dedicated truck drivers out there, trucking professionals. So we're in a good spot right now. Robert mentioned that he believes COVID is turning. The market is good out there. There's freight for us. There's freight for all our trucks. There's more freight than we can haul. So this is a good time coming. So again, I'll thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for everything that you do, and please be safe.